So I've got a few thoughts, but I will let John speak because he's probably got most of them covered himself.
Okay. That was fantastic, Charlie, and I commend you on that and the research you did. I hope everyone appreciated that. As I counted approximately 150,000 square feet of data centre space in Scotland. Who knew, as you said. And that's hugely encouraging because, frankly, without that, it's very difficult to build internet exchanges. And if I contrast that with the consultation we did in Belfast a month ago, I think we would have been struggling to find 10,000 square feet in contrast of available now, of the sort of standard and so on. And as you emphasised, high spec stuff, which is also a surprise, which implies that a lot of that stuff's either been built recently or re-equipped fairly recently, which is also encouraging. I think you can see what I was alluding to from what Charlie's done, and I didn't put him up to that again. I simply asked him to do the research and the presentation, and he did it splendidly from a neutral standpoint, I think. It looks to me as if ScoLocate is an obvious place to start. So I'm going to pause there and just let anybody who wants to comment on that statement comment or ask a question before we go into the roundup and Q&A. Anybody think we've got that wrong?
I don't think it's the question at the moment. I think the question is why we do the exchange. Where you put it is a secondary question.
Okay. So I acknowledge that if we've not yet made a sufficiently compelling case for why do an exchange at all, then that's what the Q&A session is designed to answer. And as I said, I'd give the opportunity to answer questions on anything I said and indeed anything anyone else said. So I don't think I've really got too much more to say in terms of roundup. I think what we're seeing is, from what I've heard and what I've seen, a demand. There clearly is an opportunity. There actually is the supporting infrastructure, and so it feels right for me that we should give it a go. I've painted a picture of how we might address the obvious concerns of how you get going. Achieving critical mass is a tricky thing with an internet exchange, and frankly, when you've only got one member there, not much happens because you can't clap with one hand. You need at least two to tango, and so and two's not enough. How do you build that into a little more? I hope I've demonstrated how I think we could achieve that. I hope I've demonstrated what the value is, and specifically addressed your point. We are clearly going to drag big content providers to come and host in Scotland, and that will make a difference in itself. Dragging big content providers will encourage more access providers to try and keep their traffic local. A bigger infrastructure will grow, a bigger environment around that will develop, and then hopefully all the benefits that I mentioned in the slide set will come true. I think you can get most of that going by starting. Clearly, it will not be enough, and certainly no one wants to get to the point where we build another single point of failure in Scotland and people say, oh, well, we moved the single point of failure from London to Scotland. So the vision is start somewhere and then let the local community help develop the business case to grow it and to start taking advantage of the fact that there is a good, vibrant data center scene. But of course, there's no point in going and opening an internet exchange in an empty data center that doesn't have any carriers there and doesn't have anybody that encourages more access and content providers to come there. So I think I probably should just sort of stop at that and say, now let's throw it open to general Q&A. Martin and Andrew, if you would care to join us. I mean, I don't know whether people are going to still ask questions that we can perhaps all deal with as a panel.